silence, every story's gotta be told. Truth in the air, no filter, no disguise. Real talk, real change, we open up your eyes. We got the voices that are changing the game. Fearless, unchained, calling our names. From the struggles to the rise, we expose, we ignite. No topic too deep when you step in the light. We got the answers, spotlight, let your truth be heard. Unfiltered conversations, every thought, every word. We challenge, we question, we dive in the deep, breaking the silence. No secrets we keep. From the pain to the power, the lessons we learn. Voices of the people, let the fire burn. Dr. Donna, Dr. Laxley, leading the way, guiding the truth in a world full of gray. Experts, activists, voices untold. Everyday heroes with stories so bold. This is more than a show, it's a movement, a spark, illuminating shadows, bringing light to the dark. We got the voices that are changing, be heard. Unfiltered conversations, every thought, every word. We challenge, we question, we dive in the deep, breaking the silence. No secrets we keep. Step into the spotlight, let your truth be heard. Unfiltered conversations, every thought, every word. We challenge, we question, we dive in the deep, breaking the silence. No secrets we keep. We got the voices, spotlight, let your truth be heard. Unfiltered conversations, every thought, every word. We challenge, we question, we dive in the deep, breaking the silence. No secrets we keep. And if you want the real, then tune in right now. We're breaking down on walls, no backing down. One mic, one voice, one mission tonight. Step into the spotlight, let's get it right. Let's get it right. Head to the spotlight. Let's get it right. What do?
Hello everyone, and welcome to In the Spotlight. This is the home of unfiltered conversations where real talk is what we do. I am none other than Dr. Donna Thompson.
I'm Dr. Laxley Stephenson, and together we are your moderators.
Awesome.
Hi, Donna.
Hi. And this evening we have a wonderful co-host with us, Dr. Carla Hilton. Welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for joining us and blessing us tonight with your presence and your conversation. We're so looking forward to that. Donna, tell us something about Dr. Hilton.
Sure. So Dr. Hilton, she is actually an award-winning author. She's a distinguished keynote speaker, and she has her PhD in biotechnology. So, you know, Dr. Hilton is super, super smart because biotechnology.
What is that? Like what is biotechnology?
You know what I mean? That sounds like a lot of brain work to me. And she holds her postgraduate diploma in education. She has a certification in mental health studies. I mean, she just brings a wealth of knowledge. And, we're so honored to have her here with us this evening, right? So she's going to share a lot more about the work that she's doing, the work that she has done. So I'm excited to hear all about it.
And before we go to Doc, she's from Jamaica too, right?
You know what? That make it even more special.
Doc is from Jamaica, and so are we. We're also from Jamaica. So we have a panel from Jamaica tonight. That's big stuff, right?
Awesome.
All right, Doc, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience, please?
Well, I think Dr. Donna did most of it, but I can continue. As she mentioned, I'm an author, educator, mental health advocate, as well as a book doctor. Many people don't know what that is, so I'll get to that shortly. But my mission is to help individuals overcome adversity and to find purpose through healing and self-awareness. Now, I've shared my personal journey in my books, The Unvarnished Truth, Vanquishing Monsters, and these books speak to surviving trauma and reclaiming your identity. Now, as a book doctor, since many people might not know what that is, as a book doctor, I support others in bringing their stories, their transformative stories to life, because everybody has a story. And I have found that there are many people that would like to record their story, even if it is just to pass on to the future generations, if not to make money as an author, but they just want to have a record of their story. And I've been helping some persons with that, and it's been great. It's been an awesome experience because not everybody wants to sit down and write. So it's my honor to help them in that along that journey.
And we're believers in that the story should be told. So we appreciate that you're representing there. Absolutely. So Donna, we have some for our friends from Kenya with us tonight. We have Elizabeth Sitawa. We have, I'm not going to mess up his first name, so let me say Destiny's Son. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. And we ask that if you're watching from Kenya, from Jamaica, wherever you are, that you share this broadcast. We're not doing this just for us, as much as we benefit from it, but we also want you to share the benefits as well. So thanks for joining us. So Donna, we have a big show tonight. But before we get into it, let's talk a little bit about what is about to go down in Kenya. And I'm going to play a video, and I would like you to, you know what you do so well.
All right. Yes. So everyone, oh my gosh. Of course, A Collision with Purpose, or 2025 Kenya Community Outreach, is coming up. It's literally right around the corner. June 6th, we're headed out. We'll be there for a few weeks, and it's all about community outreach and doing, work in the community. We'll be doing sanitary towels for 2 girls' schools, where we've been providing sanitary towels for the girls. We're doing toilet initiative for 2 schools. We have a toilet initiative where we'll be building toilets. Of course, the project will not be completed while we're there because it's a short period of time, but at least we'll be breaking ground for the toilets for 2 of the schools there. We have some photo on the flyer where you can see that's kind of like the toilets. Some of the schools, they're facing really, just not very, good hygiene. All right. So it's a big thing that's needed there as well. And we'll be visiting several orphanages while we're there. And we'll be providing groceries and just different things for the children within the orphanage. We will be having a clothing drive. We'll be having a dental drive where we have some dental care packages we'll be providing for the community. So it's going to be a packed trip with a lot of community initiatives that is involved in the trip. And of course, we can't do any of this without funding, right? So Here you can see we have Dr. Stephenson had just put up the Daily Insights Unveiled book. And what is great about this is not just that it's a great book, right? It's a great book. But what's also nice is that if you go out and purchase your copy today from our website, www.acollisionwithpurpose.com, a portion of the proceeds from your purchase will also go towards the initiatives that we're having on this trip that is coming up. So we encourage you to go out and purchase a copy. And guess what? Even if you purchased a copy already, go ahead and get a second one. You can always gift it to someone. It is so great that you can always gift it to someone, or just have 2 copies, right? But we definitely encourage you to go to the website and purchase the copy. Yes, you can purchase it on Amazon. However, if you purchase it from the website, we're able to give more into the initiatives as far as financial support for the initiatives. So a great way to support us is through purchasing a copy of the book.
And Donna, we'll be planting trees as well.
And we'll be planting trees.
We'll be planting trees. Let's welcome Perlina. Let's welcome Chrisone Richards from Jamaica. Welcome, Chrisone. We're looking to have you on this platform next week. So get ready. Yes. Get ready to come on next week. All right. So, yeah, and there's a big announcement. I can't make it tonight. It's going to be so big, so huge. In fact, it's a double announcement. It's going to have something to do with Jamaica and students, and it's going to have something to do with Kenya and students. I think we'll make that announcement on May 31st. It's huge. When I tell you it's huge, it's life-changing.
Yeah.
Can't announce it today, though. Unless you give me the go-ahead. I won't. Unless you give me, and I know you're not going to give me the go-ahead because it will get us in trouble. We'll be flooded. We'll be flooded with requests, right? It's so big, and it's about students. We are about students. That's what we do here at A Collision with Purpose. One of the things that we do, because we believe in building capacity, and we're doing this in collaboration with our nonprofit organization, Global Humanity Network. You know, that's the group, our group. You're the vice president, I'm the president, and we have members from all over the world. It's indeed a global organization, and so we'll be working with them as well. And we also want to talk about our mentoring program through GHN. We're looking for mentors. We're looking for mentors in Jamaica, in the United States, wherever we can reach students. We're looking to get more mentors on board. All right, so we have a big show tonight, and we don't want to really delay it much longer. We're going to be talking about the trap of performance-based identity tonight. Purpose over pressure, escaping the trap of performance-based identity. But before we jump in, I think it's appropriate that we take a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll be all the way in. Okay?
Sure.
I'm a boy kid, I'm a boy kid. I'm a boy kid, I'm a boy kid. I wake up in the morning and I praise the Lord. I thank Him for His protection, and I walk in His steps, declaring that today's provision is set up for me. I love God and I love my friends. I'm a bold kid. I'm a bold kid. I'm a bold kid. I put on my armor and I write His word, blessing come out of my mouth, cause I know to whom I belong. I am bold for Christ, Holy Spirit dwelling within me, carrying His presence wherever He sends me. I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid. I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid. Loving others as He told me to pray for healing, miracles to see, knowing my identity in Christ, He is in me. I am a bold kid, He loves me, standing firm on His word, proclaiming everything I heard, not afraid because He is with me. Be bold. I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid. Put on my armor and I write His word, blessing come out of my mouth, because I know to whom I belong. I am bold for Christ, Holy Spirit dwelling within me, carrying His presence wherever He sends me. I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold
Welcome back. Welcome back for In the Spotlight, where we leave nothing on the table. Tonight, we have as our special guest Dr. Carla Hilton and my co-host, Dr. Donna Thompson. The way she put it, none other than Dr. Donna. So, I just want to welcome our guests, anyone out there watching. Tonight, we're going to have a soul-stirring conversation, and we call it Purpose Over Pressure, Escaping the Trap of Performance-Based Identity. And what we're basically doing tonight, we're going to take a quick pause. We're going to pause the hustle. We're stepping away from the noise that tells us to do more, be more, produce more. And we're diving deep into the question, who are you when no one is watching? When the titles fall away, when the applause are gone? You see, we're living in a time when success is measured by output, not peace, by hustle, not healing. But how many of us are waking up to the truth that the world doesn't teach? We were never meant to perform our way into purpose. Our conversation tonight is for those who are tired of performing, who are wrestling with their identity, and who long to break free from the pressure to prove themselves. So take a deep breath, lean in. Let this conversation be an invitation back to yourself and back to the one who called you before you ever achieved anything. We want this conversation to be interactive. So if you're watching us, feel free to jot your thoughts down in the comment section. We are looking forward to hearing from you as well. So our first segment tonight is what we call the identity crisis. Who are you without the titles? And in leading into that, let me say that many of us pray or praise for what we do, our roles, or our resumes, our reach. But what happens when all of that changes? Titles can be taken, positions can shift, careers can end, and when they do, what is left? What is left? Dr. Donna, what is left?
What is left? It's you and your thoughts.
You and your thoughts.
You and your thoughts. Where do I go? What do I do? What is my purpose? Try to redefine who you are, rediscover who you are.
Wow. What is left? Dr. Carla, what is left?
Tell me, what is left is introspection. We hold many titles in our lives depending on the seasons. In our lives, we start off as, a baby, a child, a daughter. Mm-hmm. We might then go on to have the title of sister, then wife, then mother. In my case, I was wife, mother, educator, scientist. But the title that I was, I centered my life around was being mother. That was my center. And then, my life unraveled through separation, divorce, even estrangement from my adult children. That led me to some suicide attempts. And, I was really forced to confront the question as to who am I when those roles that I cherish the most are stripped away. Mm. And it takes a lot of inner work. You have to be in this quiet place to meet your true self. And that's what I had to do. I had to sit with myself in this quiet place, meet my true self, not Dr. Carla with the accolades, but Carla, the woman God created with a purpose, and not just performance in terms of performing as a mother, as a wife, as a scientist, as a teacher, and all the other roles we take on. But who am I in God's eyes? I have to identify my authentic self, because authenticity isn't about being impressive. It's about being aligned. It's living from the truth of who you are and not the image others expected. And for a long period, it was all about the image I was projecting. You know, you wanted to be this perfect mother, this perfect wife, this perfect hostess, this whatever it is, that the roles that we play, right? But I wasn't being true to myself. So it can bring you to a dark place when you've lost all of that. And that's what happened in my case. I was in real darkness, I can tell you, until I found myself again, you know?
You know, it's interesting that Dr. Carla covered the whole show.
No, sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
No. It's a good thing because you leading us into it. But exactly what you said is what it's about. When all the titles are gone, all the accolades, all the things the good things that you built, right, are gone. Then you're left with you, right? And you better like who you're left with. You better like that person you're left with, right? And that's when you really ask the question, who am I, Donna? Who am I? So the real question then is, have you ever had to rediscover your worth when what you did no longer worked for who you were? And I'm going to post it in the chat. And as I'm posting that, I see where Elizabeth said, I have no private self, just that helpful, honest, supportive me. Honest, supportive me. So, Donna, have you ever had to rediscover your worth when what you did no longer worked for who you were?
I had that experience, not to the extent of Dr. Carla. You know, oh my gosh, bless your heart. But you know, on a smaller scale, I had that experience when I got furloughed from work. I think that was the first time that I was put in a position of being still, not by choice, but the rug just being pulled from under me. And I had to do a lot of introspection and really come to terms that my job that I was doing, for many years, I made that define who I was. And now I had to realize that, you know what? Wait a minute here. I don't have this job anymore. What's really going on here? And so I really had to really do a lot of really soul searching. And you know, and to a certain extent, yeah, I had to really redefine myself to really say, okay, this is who Donna is, and I'm not the title of my job, and I'm not the work that I do at a 9 to 5, but I am so much more. And it's a very empowering feeling, I must say, to be at the place where you're like, you know what, this is who I am, and I'm good.
Yeah. So I'm just going to share a little story here. When I discovered that I was in trouble, so my close friend, and I won't call her name, but I will just say, may she continue to rest in peace. It was her birthday, and I went to the restaurant with her, you know, and I made sure the restaurant was close to my office, because I couldn't leave my office and go too far, right? Because I had to be close to the office. So we had dinner, and the person serving us came over and said, "Are you having dessert?" And I said, "No." I said, "No, because I was in a hurry to get back to work, because that was the most important thing in my life." And she looked at me and she said, she was my mentor, and she looked at me and she said, "You're lost. You're gone." She allowed me to get away with it, but she did caption it with, "You've got problems." And that's what happened. And then guess what? Shortly, not too long after that, the economy dived, and all of that was taken away. Everything that I worked to build in the real estate business, properties, all kinds of stuff. So I had to pivot real quick until within my own sense of understanding of what was going on, I had to come to some conclusion and say, this is not who I am. All that stuff, Can't, because you can easily let it rule you and control you if you're not careful. So we need to be that person that we look in the mirror and says, my situation should not define who I am. I am to define who I am. So no matter what the situation, there's a life to live and a purpose to serve. All right, so I'm going to post that in the section here, in the comment section. And Tremaine said, and Tremaine has some experience with what I'm talking about, you know, that she's my daughter, right? So she can relate to. She said that is good. This is good, Dad. So Tremaine, please feel free to join. Just don't talk about me. Just don't talk about you, not me. All right. So I'm going to leave that question out there. Have you ever had to rediscover your worth when what you did no longer worked for you? All right, let's move to the next segment. Segment 2, the hustle. The hustle lie when ambition becomes a cage. What are we talking about here? And let me set it up. You know, I'm okay. Before we go there, we have one here from Croissant. My goodness, Donna, can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Please feel free to read it. Your Dr. Carla can read it if you can see it.
So Croissant said, what is left is you and God. The only constant thing in our life is God. Only God can complete us and keep us sane through any obstacles. Titles does not define us. Each person is a unique individual with a complex set of characteristics, skills, and experiences. Titles does not capture the full range of a person's abilities or personalities.
Carly, you care to comment on that, or do we keep moving?
No, well, I just think that is very accurate. I mean, the titles, definitely, you know, we are human, and all of us are human regardless of what our titles are and what our roles are. Absolutely. And we have a heart, you know, and so we can feel pain. Emotional pain.
We feel pain.
Regardless of the titles, you know.
Absolutely. So the title is not going to protect you from pain.
Right.
That is one thing for sure. And you often hear that you're not bringing anything back with you.
Exactly.
You're going empty handed, right? All right. So this segment, the hustle lie when ambition becomes a cage. Let me say something about ambition. Ambition is often celebrated, even glorified, but we rarely talk about when ambition becomes an obsession. When we're chasing so hard, we lose ourselves in the process. Hustle can be a tool, but it can just as easily become a trap. There's a fine line between healthy drive and self-destruction. All right. So the question is, where is the line between healthy ambition and self-destruction? And let me post that, because sometimes it's hard. Donna, you know, you're our lead-off person. We're exploring the tension between healthy ambition and self-destruction. Where is the line between those two?
Just like what you said, you know, depending on, you know, people's perception of, you know, ambition. Some people, they look at acquiring materialistic things as being ambitious and being successful, and then they're always seeking more and more and more, and, you know, better. And I think that's really a thin line, because you realize that it's almost like they're seeking more materialistic things to fill a void that's within themselves of not being happy, not being fulfilled within who they are. So it becomes, you know, it becomes very obsessive, because you're looking for happiness and fulfillment in things, in tangible things. And so you can self-destruct, because then if you lose all of that, what happens to you afterwards? You find yourself in a very dark place, or you treat people poorly because they may not be on your level, or you think they're not on your level. So you then tend to treat people poorly and less than. So it's something that you have to be very mindful in life as you're growing and succeeding.
So there is a distinct divider, a line between those two things. All right. So before we go to Dr. Carla, let's see what Elizabeth is saying. I think she's referring to the last question. Yeah, she's doing a bit of soul searching lately. Cancer changed me and stripped away what doesn't matter, and made me face who I really was when no one was watching me. I am still figuring that out, one quiet moment at a time. Mm. Dr. Carla, I won't comment on that. I'll just move to you.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so back to what you were talking about when ambition becomes a cage. Oftentimes we equate ambition with worthiness.
Mhm.
And, so we look at having ambition and acquiring all the things Dr. Donna just spoke about as making us worthy. And it's because we do not accept ourselves for who we actually are. It's a mask that we wear to avoid facing that deep void. And Dr. Donna mentioned that hole that is left by unhealed wounds, unmet needs, that fractured sense of self. We just don't feel worthy the way we are. And so we try to earn that worth through achievement or ambition or perfectionism. So it's a distraction in a way, instead of sitting in the discomfort of feeling that I am not enough, we just work and work and work, or do whatever else it is to occupy our time so that we don't have to think about it. That's my take on it.
Right, and that's a good, that's an that's an amazing, awesome take on it. I'm gonna give more of an academic answer for this one. And now we're looking where the line is, right? The line is drawn where you find peace in your life, where you find peace. And we're talking about healthy ambition here, right? And what healthy ambition will do for you, it will energize you, even when it stretches you. But and it also aligns with your values, it respects your boundaries, and it contributes to your growth without demanding you to lose yourself in the process. And that's what we talk about in the first segment, right? Losing yourself. But when ambition starts to feel like anxiety, when you start to say, if I take time off from it because I'm so ambitious, I want to go at it, you feel guilty. When your identity, and we talked about that earlier, is tied to your output, that is no longer healthy ambition. That is when you cross the line into self-destruction, right? So ambition, healthy ambition should push you forward, not pull you apart. All right, not pull you apart. Now, question: can you chase your goals and still recognize yourself at the finish line?
Yes, you can. I believe you can. Just need to have a healthy balance. I don't know if that was meant. Or is that what you're putting in the audience, putting in the chat? Yes, okay.
No, it's meant. It's
Okay.
meant. And I'm going to put it in the chat as well. The chat is getting ahead of me, though. It's getting away from me here. So Donna, please read see stuff because it's moving away, and we don't want to miss some important comments, right?
Oh, okay, sure. Carissa said healthy ambition will energize us. I'm trying to go back here. I'll come back to some of them. Tremaine said, when I work with my clients, I ask them if babies are blessings. Most, if not all, say yes. And then I tell them that they were babies at one point. Nothing changed that. We come to the world as blessings. Babies do nothing. They depend on people to survive, yet they are blessings. It doesn't change. Ooh, that's deep.
Can you change your goals and still recognize yourself at the finish line? All right, there's some other ones in there we want to touch.
Yeah.
Carissa said, healthy ambition will energize us. And Carissa is joining us from Jamaica. Lisa, thanks for joining us. We distract our minds from dealing with those emotions that are affecting us. Ain't that the truth? Avoidance, is a way, right?
Mhm.
We distract our minds from dealing with those emotions that are affecting us. And is that the right approach? I don't know, but it sure is a coping way to cope, right? And I don't want to get into Tremaine's business because this is her profession. That's what she would be good. We need to bring her on, Donna, from a professional standpoint, right?
Mhm.
So we can talk about some of this stuff here. All right, so Elizabeth Sitawa, yes, but only if my goals reflect my true values, not just my fears or ego. Otherwise, I risk losing myself along the way.
Mhm.
Any comment? Anyone want to comment on that? And any other comments? Dr. Carla, Donna, do you want to comment on anything that we're picking up in the comment section?
Okay, I heard that part about losing oneself, right? And I mean, that goes for ambition as well as roles. In my particular case, I lost myself in being a mother and a wife and forgot about Carla, And so there always has to be a healthy balance. We talk about healthy balance, and then maybe one might be asking, what exactly is a healthy balance, right? But I believe it is living for your true purpose. You can be a wife, you can be a mother, and you can still have a purpose outside of those roles, which do not severely impact you as a mother or as a wife, if you get what I'm saying, right? In my case, I forgot about career. I was just solely focused on those roles, and also forgot to take care of me. So even if you're a housewife and, but you still have to spend time taking care of oneself, self-care.
So that's where you have to understand where the line is. If not,
Right,
you're going to that self-destruction phase, right?
right.
Yeah. And Croissant says healthy ambition involves setting goals that motivate you and driving improvement without compromising your mental or physical health. Self-destruction manifests as pushing beyond the limits repeatedly or ignoring warning signs of exhaustion.
Mhm.
Rest is important, right?
Yeah.
Are we rested? Dr. Carla, are you rested?
Trying to be, yes, sometimes life gets hectic, but yes, I do try to, dedicate one day or even 3/4 of a day, where
All
I
right.
rest.
All right. Thanks to all those who are participating. We really appreciate it. Just continue to participate. You're adding so much value to this discussion. All right. So let's go to segment number 3. And this one is about rooted or proven, the hidden need behind overachievement. And I know we have some overachievers here on this platform with us tonight. So this should be an interesting one. I know I have two of my co-hosts. They're both overachievers. They're going hard. So this segment is rooted or proven, the hidden need. Oh my goodness. I told her not to talk about me. You see what my daughter just wrote?
Dad, are you resting?
I asked her not to talk about me. She made comments, make your comments about you. Not enough. I'm not resting enough. So, all right, the hidden need behind overachievement. Why is it that there's such a drive or push? Why is there a need for such a thing to overachieve?
I think some of it really comes from early childhood. What's been instilled in you, when you go as early back as when you're a child going to school and you come home with a C or a B and your parent is like, where's the A? Those are little things that is being instilled in you. So then you find yourself growing up that you just, you develop this tendency where you strive for perfection. You're always having to set these goals and you have to achieve them. So I think those are things that start from childhood, that's instilled in you, foundational things. And when you get older, it's difficult to break them. We weren't taught that failure is an opportunity to learn. As children, we were taught that you have to be perfect. There's no room for failure. And then we become dysfunctional grown folks.
But could it be also growing up as who we are, that we have to be twice as good?
And that too. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That could be part of it, right?
Mhm.
Now, Caricia said, yes, it is very important to balance all areas of our lives, because any or that is less than, we will lose it over time if we do not pay attention and work to balance it off. As Carla gave her experience in nearly losing herself because she paid greater attention to marriage and motherhood and did not pay attention to herself. She left herself out of it. So here's the question. Who were you trying to prove yourself to? And when did you realize it was costing you peace of mind?
That question is to me. Is
For
it?
all of us.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if the person was.
For all of us.
Okay.
Donna, you want to go first? All right, Dr. Carl, you want to take it?
Well, in my case, I was, the mental strain that I was under presented itself as physical ailments. So my physical health was paying the price for my emotional neglect of myself, because I was so invested in being this perfect wife and perfect mother and doing everything for other people and not for myself, not expressing myself when I was angry or upset about something, keeping it all bottled in, that it led to autoimmune diseases. And so my body was, and an autoimmune disease is basically your body trying to kill yourself, right? So, you can look at it like that. Your own body cells turn against your healthy cells, right? And it was a reflection of what was going on emotionally. And so my life unraveled, and, I had to make drastic changes. It ended up in a divorce, but then that drastic change led to something even worse than I could even imagine, which was the estrangement from my adult children. I did not anticipate or expect. It never even entered my mind that such a thing was possible. I was so close to my children. It's one of those things that you would have said impossible. However, nothing is impossible, and it happened. So it shook me to the core, and therefore I had no purpose anymore. There was no purpose I could think of. If I couldn't be these children's mother, then who am I? And so that was, when I tried to end my life. But God had another, He had a purpose he had another plan, had another purpose, and I am here. And I wasn't happy to be alive. When I woke up in ICU, I was not happy to be alive. I could not understand why I was still here. But now I do. Now I do. And now I see that if I had not gone through that pain, I would not have found myself. And I would not have drawn closer to God as well. Because there it is that all along I was putting children as the center of my life when I should be putting God at the center of my life. And as I said, had that not happened, I doubt, well, no one knows, but I doubt if I would now be on the path that I'm on.
I mean, I don't know what to add to that, Donna, but I'll say this. Many of us aren't driven by passion. We're driven by pain.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly, right? You know, we're always working to prove something to someone, whether it's a teacher, a parent, and even an older version of yourself, right? We
Right.
just get to latch onto that older version, or to a world where no one is looking at us. No one is even paying us any attention. But we get ourselves into this. We're so important, right? We position ourselves as such that we must do things to satisfy people who don't even care.
Mm-hmm.
Don't even care. So one truth I want to leave, and I'm going to post that in here in the chat. I'm going to post that in the chat. But before I do that, let me read what Carissa said. Yes, we can be a wife, mother, and anything all at once, whilst we strategize to create balance. However, we need to be careful that we do not juggle too much things at the same time, because the balancing segment, that thing just moved, on life's chart will grow smaller and wear us out, where we feel like we want to neglect all, and that describes burnout. Wow, that's a whole different ballgame there. You're talking about burnout. That's a different conversation. So here's a truth I want to leave. Proving is exhausting, and no amount of success can fill the void of unhealed worth. Unhealed worth. Donna, your take.
I think, everything here that, all the comments and everything that everyone is saying is so true. And I do find that, we do have to give ourselves grace and humility, and also be mindful of the feedback. I'm going to call it feedback, right? I'm going to call it feedback that individuals will give us of ourselves, and not to not to own it, because many times, whether it, like you're saying, Doc, it could be, whether it's friends, family, your job, your boss, your whomever, you feel like you're always trying to prove your worth to those individuals. And when they're critical of something that you're doing, then you own it and you're harder on yourself. And I think we really have to be mindful of how we take those things in and own it, because then, we experience all these other emotions that goes with it. And you find yourself living a life of really trying to please people who really don't care too much about you.
Mm-hmm. I think we've all been there.
Mm-hmm.
We have all walked down that crazy road, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think it's, not saying feedback is not good, right? It's good, right? But it's how you get it. You gotta, you have to use wisdom and discernment and all that stuff to know if someone is really trying to help you grow to become a better version of yourself, or they're just trying to not necessarily tear you down, but they may not have your best interests at heart.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know when someone have your, this is off
Right?
but you brought it up. How do you know when someone have your best interest at heart?
I think discernment. I think discernment, you can really tell. You can really tell, the people's tone, their, how they deliver the message. Is it with love? Is it with compassion? Is it with care? You can tell. You can tell.
You feel it. It's a vibe.
Yeah.
It's a vibe. That's the card.
It's a vibe, yeah.
It's a vibe.
And then you have to say, you know what? Do they really matter? What they think? Does that really matter? No, you don't matter. Right? But yeah, it's and we all have to be mindful of that, right? Because we're all in positions where we ourselves can be given feedback to someone else, right?
Okay. I want to say something, and let's talk about noise, right? And I'm saying noise, external or internal. And I'm only saying that because we talk about do we know if they have our best interest at heart? Do we have our best interest at heart?
Exactly. Right.
For me, that's a real question. Because often you find that we've been in situations where we must question, do we have our best interests at heart? And that is the real dilemma. Because anything external you can control. You can block, right? You can get rid of. But it's when it's on the inside and it's manipulating you, and you allow it to manipulate you, when you have real problems. All right. So let me read a few more comments, and then we'll take a quick break, and we're going to play a video, Donna, that I know will excite you. All right. So Sitawa said, proving is exhausting. Fact, yes. Lisa said, that is right. Dr. McCook said, greetings to the hosts and guests. Impactful, thank you. And Caricia said, do you think that we all try to prove ourselves, but experience and maturity over time can help? What you guys say? What do you say? Over time we learn, right? We become better.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right. So let's take a quick break, then we'll come back and do some more.
Caught in the web of what they said, lost in the expectations, living in hesitation. I walked in other shadows. Deep inside, a fire burned, a whisper turned to a roar. I am liberated from walking in other shadows. I walk in my authentic self, breaking chains within, from the shadows to the light. A new life begins, shining so bright. Society tries to mold you into someone you couldn't be, fighting through the darkness to find the real me. No longer bound by others' rules, let your spirit soar. With every step you take, you are stronger than before. I am liberated from walking in other shadows. I walk in my authentic self, breaking chains within, from the shadows to the light. A new life begins, shining so bright. Breaking away from the shadows within, I rise up and shine from deep within. Of light, I'll always be living in truth, walking in victory. I am free, yes, I am free. From the shadows to the light, I am free. Walking in my truth, forever free. Living in victory, shining brightly. I am liberated from walking in other shadows.
I think that's a good place to cut it. I am liberating from walking other shadows. So Donna, welcome back to In the Spotlight. Our guest tonight is Dr. Carla Hilton, and I have with me tonight none other than Dr. Donna Thompson. Dr. Donna Thompson, what is that thing about shadows?
Yeah, shadows within. This kind of fits perfect about what we're talking about here, right? So it's an anthology where we're going to have approximately 2021 authors who will be sharing their life story exactly about what we're talking about, living in other people's shadows, and basically society's expectations or parents' expectations, all these expectations that that was placed on us, that's really false. And we've gotten to a point in our life where you realize that, what, this is just not who I am. And you have to break these chains. You have to rediscover yourself, and just sharing our stories about our journey in having to go through this to rediscover who we are, to now just, being authentic in who you are and being okay with it and owning who you really are and who you were created to be. And, hopefully we'll be able to share our stories so that it can help others who, if they're going through that situation, it will be able to help them, to let them know that, hey, you're not by yourself. These stories, they're not unique to you or your friend. This is something that, many people have gone through. A lot of people have gone through these various scenarios where you've spent majority of your life just living in a different body, so to speak.
In the wrong body. Can imagine being trapped in that place for all of your life. Dr. Carla talked about, she's living and working in her purpose. There's no purpose there when you're in that body, other body.
Yeah.
There's a purpose, but it's not yours. It's
Mm-hmm.
not yours, right? So, all right. So let's go to Dr. Carla. You want to comment on that video, part of that video? Anything you want to say about that before we move on?
Well, we all have shadows, and as we move forward, we move away from them. I think we can move away from them, and if we focus on the light ahead, we can pull ourselves out of any situation. I believe that it's possible. If I could, then anybody can. So.
There's that saying in Jamaica: if you run down your shadow. Anyway, that's a different conversation. Let's keep it moving. The next segment is about redefining success when purpose isn't measured by productivity. All right, and let me say a little bit about that before we go into it. We are living in a world that measures our output or valued by our output. We're seen based on the work we do, how much we produce, perform, are back to proven, right? So in this culture that we live in, it is almost radical to believe that simply being is enough. It's enough. But what if we have been chasing the wrong version of success? What if real success isn't about doing more? It is about being more aligned. Yeah. What if it is about peace over performance, wholeness over hustle, and meaning over metrics, right? Mm-hmm. So we're going to challenge the idea that more is always better, and we're going to lean into the power of enough. So the question that is on the table is, let me put it in the chat. What shifted in your life when you stopped chasing more and started honoring enough?
Well, right now I answer to no one but to the Almighty.
Wow.
And I find peace in that. My success, as you said, it's all about alignment. It's living in truth. It's walking in purpose. And I feel peaceful within my soul. You have to appreciate or find joy in the small moments, right? And feel less guilty or feel no guilt at all when you have to say no, because sometimes we have to say no. We can't say yes to everything that comes on our plate, right? But I believe previously, my previous life, I would feel guilty if I said no. Now I feel no guilt if it is in true alignment with what my purpose is. I can say no. And true success, I believe, isn't just about climbing higher, or it isn't about climbing higher. It's about actually going deeper into who you truly are and starting to live authentically. That's what I think.
No. Do you want to follow that? Do you want to follow that, Donna?
You heard me. I said,
That one brought up. You go deeper into who you are.
who you are. I mean, and I totally agree with Dr. Carla, because I can just speak for myself. Like, perfect example is working and being in the corporate world, and you're always striving to get to that higher level. And I think, once again, for myself, having to experience being out of work and going back to work, I found I found a level of peace when I went back to work, where I was like, okay, what I'm doing here, this is where I'm supposed to be, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and just looking at it in a totally through different lens, to where I don't even find the stress that I had before at work, which may sound foreign to some people, but I think my job is probably the less stressful job, because I'm truly at peace with what I'm doing and where I am at this point in my life. And if I did not, if I wasn't pulled away from that to really do that introspection, I probably would still have been searching for that higher, growing, and just continue to lose myself.
Wow. So we know what a pressure valve is, right? When you release it, that's what happens. That's what happens. You release that thing, and suddenly, as Dr. Carla said, peace. The pressure is gone.
Yeah.
And now finally you can breathe. You can breathe, right? So, and it's all about your true value, because you're not. Often when you ask someone, "Who are you?" "Oh, doctor. I'm a nurse." "But who are you?"
Right.
And that's that thing you're talking about. You go deep into who you are and start to understand who you are. And only then can you really find alignment. Can you find alignment? So yeah, big stuff there. And not to mention how that will affect and impact the quality of your relationships. Because if you're off-centered, right? If you're not in that, what do you call that thing, Donna, when you're in it, but you're not balanced in your own self. Imagine you won't have any clarity, and whatever joy you think you're experiencing will not be sustainable. Let me see if we have anything going on here. Over here. We got yeah. All right. No comments on this one yet. So yes, found peace. And Elizabeth said, I think everything changed when I stopped chasing more and started honoring enough. Peace replaced pressure, and I had the space to truly live in, not just strive. Abundance showed up when I realized I have it. And Perlina said, I will say to Dr. Donna, wisdom kicks in. Now you are finding your purpose. So honoring enough is not gonna, and I'm gonna post this in here. Honoring enough did not shrink my ambition. It gave it boundaries and meaning. And I think that's some of what Dr. Carla was saying as well. Yeah. All right, so let's move to the next segment. One thing I'm learning when we're doing this series, Donna, is time moves so fast. When we're having this conversation, we're at the hour already.
Yep.
Time moves so fast. So segment title, Permission to Rest, Breaking Free from the Shame of Stillness. All right. So rest shouldn't feel like a rebellion, but for many of us, it does. We have been conditioned to believe that value is tied to output, that unless we are producing, we're falling behind. But here's the truth, and I'm going to post that in the chat, and then I'll ask a question. Rest is not laziness, it is leadership. It is wisdom. It is a way to survive. So the question is, what have you learned about your value when you are not producing anything? What have you learned about your value when you're still, when you're not producing anything?
I think for me, I can be, if I'm not producing anything, I really think I can be more productive. Because when I am still, I have more time to really focus and think about what it is that I'm doing and really align all my actions with my purpose. Really pay attention to what it is that I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Is it aligned with my purpose, or am I just busy, just like a busy bee? So I think I find that when I'm still and I step back and take a break from the business, I can be more productive. That's just me.
There is a thing known as effective efficiency, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where you arrive. Sometimes we're busy all over the place and nothing is happening because we're just doing with no focus, no alignment, no intention, right? So I think that's that's what you're talking about. Dr. Carla, your thoughts?
I agree totally with both of you. So all I would need to add to that is that the power of pause is incredibly beneficial to our output. If that's what if we're working and we take time to pause, that helps us to become more efficient the next day when we resume work, for example. Right? So there is a power in the pause.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the lesson in that is back up a little bit, process it, right? Put some thought to it. What they say, the race is not for the, what's that? Someone help me with that. It's not always for the
swift.
The swift, but those who endure.
Yes, something like that, yes.
Something like that, right?
Right.
All right, so let's move to the next segment, which is from performance to purpose, living authentically and aligned. And Dr. Carly, you've been talking about those two words quite a bit tonight. So we're gonna drop this on you, right? We're gonna drop this one on you. So let me.
Oh, you want me to respond to that? Oh, I thought I said enough. But anyway, that's fine.
Absolutely. We want you to talk about it. From performance to purpose, living authentically and aligned.
Well,
what are the benefits there?
My journey has definitely been from a point where I was living inauthentically. I was certainly not authentic, and I've had to undergo a lot of crises and stressful situation that has now turned me into a point where I am now aligned and living authentically. And the breakthrough came when I let go of the mask that I was wearing and reconnected with the truth. My value is not in what I do or the roles I play, but who I am in Christ, right? And that realization, though, was not just instant. It came through a lot of pain, through a lot of reflection and surrender. I had to surrender to the fact that even though I wanted to die, I was still here. So there must be a reason, right? And I had to really anchor myself, through prayer, through meditation, through journaling, And then now I am choosing to help other people, to help them to write their stories, to coach them out of depression and back to a place of wholeness. And I believe this is what I was called to do. So,
And I want to say something about that, because what you're talking about is walking in your purpose, right?
yes.
You're talking about walking in your purpose, and what a wonderful place to be. But before we talk about walking in your purpose, I want to acknowledge Dr. Lexi. Thanks for joining us. Dr. Polly, thanks for joining us. And she cleared it up for us. The race is not for the swift, but for those who endure to the end. Thanks for. And Elizabeth said, I have learned that my value isn't tied to what I just produce. It is in who I am. So it's what we've been saying, right?
Mhm.
It's what we've been saying. Even in silence, I am worthy. Rest is important. Elizabeth, you should remember that. Rest is important. we all need that. All right. So let's talk a little bit about walking in purpose, right? Because that's what this is all about. That's what this is all about. Walking in purpose. Donna, let's talk about walking in purpose. And I'm posting something there about it. Walking in purpose, in purpose requires clarity, discipline, and a connection to something deeper than ego or external success. You want to talk about that, Donna?
Oh my gosh.
No, we're the purpose organization, right?
Yeah.
And Dr. Paula is a purpose person. So we must talk about purpose, right?
I mean, yeah, walking in your purpose, it's you have to come to just like Dr. Carla said, you have to really take off that mask and really look at your life as far as what you're doing, what you're called to do, and then try to be intentional with aligning yourself to with your calling. And it's not an overnight thing. It's an everyday thing. You literally have to be intentional about walking in your purpose every day, because we're living in a world where there's a lot of distractions. You can get pulled back into the rut of so many different things to pull you in different directions. So it's something that you have to know yourself, and you have to know why you were created, and you have to know the work that you're supposed to do. And purposeful work, it's really, at the end of the day, it's really not about you. It's about the work, the journey that is ahead, that you're really called to do, leaving good footprints and things of that nature. But you have to be intentional. And you have to align yourself, whether with the right people, the right resources, the right environment, and surround yourself with those individuals who's going to keep you on that path, and also to help hold you accountable. And if you fall, they help to bring you back up and get you back on the right track.
Dr. Carla?
Well, okay. For me, walking in purpose means helping others to heal now, to use my story to bring light to others that might find themselves in that dark place. My purpose, I also believe, is to empower young people and adults through education, coaching, as well as authorship. And of course, refusing to waste my second chance at life.
Refusing to waste your second chance. So you recognize the importance of that second chance.
Yes.
All right. Now, as we bring this conversation to a close, let us talk a little bit about daily anchors, both spiritual and practical. Those are the anchors that keep us grounded and authentic. All right. I have some here, but before I post them, let us hear, what are some of the daily anchors that keep you grounded, focused?
For me, it's gratitude, looking around and observing even 5 things. And of course, there are so many more, but writing them down is important. I mean, everybody can look around them and think of 5 things to be grateful for. And that helps to put you in a positive mindset, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Donna?
Well, I know for myself, every morning when I get up, the first thing I say, thank you, Lord, for this day.
Mhm.
And really being, for me, it's really having a heart of being humble.
Mm-hmm.
And I try my best to live in humility
Mm-hmm.
each day. And just like, Carla, is really being grateful, because I know that at any split second, anything can happen. So being grateful and humility and pray every day.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mm-hmm. And Elizabeth said, walking in your purpose requires courage to be real, discipline to stay on track, and faith to keep going even when the path isn't clear. It is not always easy, but it is always worth it. Dr. Polly said, agree with what Donna said. I believe once you find your purpose, which may be more than one purpose, focus on the goal and not be diverted by the sideshows. Distractions, as Dr. Laxley always says. I didn't know I always say that. Don't be distracted by the sideshows. Yeah, we're working on that. So some of the spiritual anchors, these connect you to your inner identity and higher purpose. Morning prayer or meditation, right? Start the day by centering your heart. It reminds you that your worth is not in your work, but in your being, right?
Mhm.
Scripture reading our daily devotionals, truth over trends, ground yourself. It's hard to read from that thing there. Write down gratitude practice. Write down 3 things you're grateful for. Gratitude disrupts the cycle of striving and keeps you focused on sufficiency. Sabbath rhythms, even short periods of intentional rest, daily, weekly, affirm that you're more than your productivity. And some of the practical anchors, these practical anchors keep your mind, body, and goals in alignment. Like journaling, right? I know Dr. Carl and Dr. Donna, you journal, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
That's something I need to do more of. And let me post these individually. It's easier to read that way. And daily walks or movement. That's another practical anchor.
Mhm.
Very important. All right. And those are the only 2 I'm going to post on the practical side, because I think that the message is sent, right? All right. So I think we have covered what we intended to cover tonight. I just want to go around and Dr. Carla, final thoughts.
Well, perhaps I want to leave something with the listeners, that, I invite everyone to, spend some time thinking about what their true purpose is, pause, take a moment, breathe, embrace who you are, your flaws, everything. Embrace who you are. And that is really your authentic self. And that is where true freedom begins. By embracing who you are, then you can discover your purpose. But you first have to accept who you are.
Mhm. Accepting self, right?
Yes.
Knowing that you're enough.
Mhm.
You're good. You're good. All right. So Donna, let me say this. Dr. Carla, thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate you coming on and for sharing with us
Thank
what
you.
you've shared with us, your story, your thoughts. added immense value to the conversation today, and we truly appreciate that your willingness to share. Because often when we're talking about our inner, what is happening inside of us, many of us are not willing to share it. And you recognize the importance of telling your story because you understand that it can make a difference for others. So we really and truly appreciate you for coming on and doing that, right? So if there's one thing that I hope to leave with anyone watching this broadcast or will watch it later on, it is this. You are not your productivity. You are not your performance. You are not your past. Understand that you're purposefully created. You're deeply loved and inherently valuable, not because of what you do, but simply because of who you are. You know, we live in a world that rewards hustling. We idolize titles. You know, we choose, business and all that stuff over everything else. And often we're not paying attention to authenticity. So my call to action that I want to leave with you is unplug yourself from the pressure, reconnect yourself to your purpose, and choose to live from your identity and not for it. All right. So Donna, I'll pass it to you.
I want to tell everyone, thanks for joining us, right, this evening. We really appreciate you being here with us, and, just continue the path of living a purposeful life. And if you haven't found it, it's not too late. Don't ever think that it's too late. Don't give up on yourself, and just redefine who you are and go out there and conquer the world and do great things, because you are great.
Great indeed. And Donna, if there's anyone watching that would like to become a guest, what should they do?
If you would like to become a guest on our show, please definitely reach out to us. You can send us an email at acollisionwithpurpose@gmail.com, or you can go on our website to www.acollisionwithpurpose.com. And we definitely invite you to become a guest on our show so that we can have these meaningful and impactful conversations.
All right.
And so with that, we have come to the end of another Thursday evening.
Step into the spotlight. Couple lights on, cameras roll. Time to break the mold. No more silence, every story's gotta be told. Truth in the air, no filter, no disguise. Real talk, real change. We open up your eyes. We got the voices that are changing the game. Fearless, unchained, calling our names. From the struggles to the rise, we expose